This is a podcast of 98FM's Dublin Talks. Remember, catch the show live Monday to Friday at 10 a.m.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
98FM.
We are looking for your help to track down a motorist that was involved in a hit-and-run accident in the Tallaght area last night. 14-year-old Sean was cycling home at 9 o'clock last night at Fortunestown Lane near Fettercairn when he was knocked down. Now, if you want to see a shocking photograph, have a look at our Facebook page right now, which is facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. Facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. And on our Facebook page right now, you will see a photograph that the family have sent us of the state of this young fella's bike. His bike has been absolutely mangled. And that will tell you the speed at which he was hit by a motorist who didn't stop, by a motorist who just kept going. And looking at the damage caused to this young fella's bike, he can't have hit that young fella not knowing that he hit him and continued to drive on. Sean is the young man's name and Ciara is his aunt. Ciara, welcome to 98FM.
Hi.
Ciara, tell me what happened to young Sean last night.
He was coming on his way home through the traffic lights. He had the green man and he was crossing on his bike and the car just took him off the road.
Just literally ploughed into him?
Ploughed into him and kept on going, and everyone said it didn't even hit the brakes. There was no brake lights. Now,
so the car would have been driving through red lights because young Sean had the green man?
Yeah, it had overtook two cars, broke a red light beforehand, and then broke this red light while taking Sean up.
Okay, so this was on Fortunestown Lane at 9 o'clock last night?
Yeah.
Right. Now, when Sean, he must have been absolutely ploughed out of it, looking at the state of his bike. I'm looking at the photograph here, Ciara, and I have to say, my God almighty. He has it's a miracle.
Horrific injuries.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's a miracle that he's even still alive. Tell me about the injuries that he has sustained.
Sean has two breaks in one leg. He has a shattered elbow. He has multiple fractures to his skull and his face. He has bruises all over. He's big huge gash across his forehead that needs to be stitched up. He's going down to theatre now in the next half hour. He's just having a scan at the minute.
So he's currently in intensive care. He is undergoing some surgeries today.
Yeah.
He was unconscious at first after the accident.
So I heard he was unconscious, but by the time I got there, he came around and he was just screaming for his dad.
Right. Now, does he remember anything? Does he know anything?
Well, last night while he was being asked by the doctors, did he remember things? First of all, he didn't remember anything. And as the night went on, he started to remember bits and pieces and they started putting it together.
What do we know, if anything, about the car involved here?
It is a black car.
That's all we really know.
It's an 05 black car.
An 05 black car.
Either a Passat or a Saab.
Okay, either Passat or a Saab, right. Now, a listener just rang in claiming that they saw the incident and they seem to think it was a BMW, but anyhow, regardless, it was a 05 black car that has to have damage on it because there's no way what happened to Sean's bike happened without inflicting damage on the car itself. Would you agree?
Yeah, because we keep on going further down, you'll come on to the Tallaght bypass there. We heard it went in that direction, and this morning on our way back into the hospital, me and my husband seeing parts of the car in the middle of the road, so it was still losing parts as it was driving away.
Okay, so this car absolutely certainly has damage to it. And somebody knows who did this. Somebody knows who that was. Is there any indication that it might have been a stolen car, or was it just somebody driving erratically?
Well, we've heard of numerous people that it has been flying around Fettercairn all day yesterday. And then this happened then. Multiple people have been messaging me that I don't even know, saying that they seen it flying around in Fettercairn. They seen it. It's like they said it was just going around all day mental on the roads.
My God Almighty! Are there? Do you know if there's CCTV camera along that road?
We don't know that yet. No, the guards haven't been back to us yet with they have CCTV on it.
So once again, this was, you think, a 05 Passat or a Saab flying along Fortunestown Lane, went through a set of traffic lights red, and then young Sean was crossing the next set of pedestrian lights. He had the green man. He's walking across the road, or he's going across the road on his bike, and he was literally ploughed out of it by this car.
Yeah, the bang was so bad, a person said, that they thought he had actually either hit the wall or another car when he hit Sean.
Jesus. And then just kept driving.
And kept on, didn't even brake.
Sean, as we said, today is in intensive care in Our Lady's Hospital. Listening to his injuries, I mean, several breaks to his skull and broken ankles, broken shin bone, a couple of fingers and knuckles broken. God love him. My heart goes out to him, I have to say. 14 years of age, on his way home last night. And somebody somewhere knows who knocked this young fella down and didn't stop. And as you said, Ciara, it was a 05 car, a black car. Most likely you think a Passat or a Saab 93. But we are determined to find out who knocked him down, because that's just, it's the lowest of the low. It's the lowest of the low, it really is. Ciara,
I have Sean's dad here who'd like to speak to you.
Okay, put him on for me, please.
Okay.
Hello.
How are you? John.
How are you?
How is Sean this morning?
I've been in with him all night. He's just gone down for another CT scan at the minute, just to make sure his spine and that is okay. So then he's to go down for his operations. He's got a broken skull in multiple places. His elbow is obliterated, it's gone. His leg, ankle, a big cut over his head, on his forehead. But he's talking at the minute. He knows what happened to him. That's what's going on now. It'll be a long road of recovery for him. They told me it's up to 6 months. So that's what I know at the minute.
That's unbelievable. To think that somebody can do, even if it was a stolen car, to not stop is just...
Well, I was at the scene about 2 minutes after it happened, and I wouldn't like anybody to see what I'm saying, especially with you. Wouldn't like to see it with anybody, never mind their own child.
That must have been devastating for you to come across this with your own child.
Horrific. Just, I can't understand why somebody would just leave a child like a piece of meat on the road and continue driving.
And literally, and he was literally left for dead.
And he was, yeah. And even if the driver was in shock, they could have came back, but didn't.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, we're determined to help you to try and find out who this person was. And with CCTV around the area, it is in a number of areas. You obviously live close by, John, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
2 minutes away from where it happened.
In fact, a couple of people have been on to us to say that this is a constant issue of young fellas speeding around the estates and down that particular road. Are you aware of that?
Yeah. I've seen it all. Yeah, it's a long-going issue at the minute. And they're not robbed cars; they're buying the cars
just to rally them.
Around.
What is your message, Sean, as the father of a young fellow who was nearly killed? And let's not overemphasise this. Your son was nearly killed last night. Was left for dead at the side of the road.
Still alive.
And exactly. And what is your message to the person or people who were... Yes.
Just to contact the guards, let them know. If they don't want to contact the guards, they can private message me on Facebook. Let me know. Anything. You know, this is a low life that I can't understand why they leave a child on the road. It's a piece of me.
Well, it's just I'm devastated for you. I sincerely hope young Sean makes a recovery. His injuries are fairly serious, but luckily, from what you've told me, not life-threatening.
No, well, hopefully everything comes back on the scans that they're okay.
Well, I have my fingers crossed that everything turns out okay, John. We have gotten some information in on the phone lines in the last couple of minutes, which we will pass on to you. I'm not going to read them out on air, but I will read out, we will pass on those messages that we've gotten to you and to the Gardaí from a number of people who've been in touch with us. So we'll get back on to you a little bit later on, John. If the tow rag who was driving that car is listening, what do you want to say to him?
I can't even say it. Hand himself in. That's the best thing to do.
Simple as.
Have a conscience. He left a 14-year-old child. If it was a brother or a sister or a family member belonging to him, how would he feel?
All right. Well, that's about as much as we can ask for that person to, or even somebody who was in the car, to hand themselves in, because you literally left a young fella for dead last night. And as John said, have a bloody conscience, for God's sake. Look, I wish young Sean a speedy recovery, John, and I hope any surgeries he has to go through aren't too bad, and that he is back up and about as quickly as possible.
Thanks, Adrian.
Thanks very much indeed for talking to me, John. Thanks very much. All right, there you go. If you want to look at the Facebook post on our page right now, facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D, you will see a photograph of the damage done to that young fella's bike. And when you see the photograph, you will wonder how the young fella is still alive. You really will, because I do. But he is, and that's the good news. And he's in intensive care, is receiving treatment. But we really want to find the person who was behind the wheel of that car. Now, Sue, you're on 98FM. Hi, Sue.
Hiya, how are you?
Good, thank you, Sue. What did you want to say?
Just the same that happened. My little fella, he was knocked down on the KCR road. He was 12 years of age, and he's 20 now, but he's still suffering really, really bad. As
a direct result of what happened to him?
He got knocked down. He was crossing the road and he got knocked down by a car. But the fella stopped, like, so, you know. But he's still suffering. Like, he still has scarring on his brain, and like, he won't go outside the door. He suffers really bad with panic attacks, all that. Like, and even now, still, like, his arm and his leg where he got the nails and or bolts and all in his leg, like, he'd just be screaming in pain with that, like. You know, I just think, like, the way it is, like, the way people think, they go to court, they'll get a claim, they'll be grand. It's nothing got to do with the money or anything like that. Like, they still suffer, you know. I just think... And
to this day, he suffers as a direct result of it.
Yeah. He can't go outside the door or anything, like, he's really bad. His back and all just be killing him. He just panics when he goes outside the door and everything, like... Won't cross the road or anything unless he's right beside the lights and things like that. And he's 20.
Wow. You know? Well, I like I said, to hear that about a 14-year-old young fella is just awful. That he was left for dead and is quite seriously ill in hospital. I hope everything goes well for him. And it's horrible to hear the long-term devastating effects that it can have.
It does. It suffers them in the long term. Yeah, my little fella is ruined. His life is destroyed. You know.
All right, but I appreciate you talking to us. Thanks very much indeed. And once again, if anybody has any information on that accident last night, well, it wasn't even an accident. That was bloody attempted murder, in my opinion. But anyway, slamming through red lights like that. Anyway, if anybody has any information on that, can you please contact the Gardaí in Tallaght, even anonymously, to give them any information that you may have. Okay, please do get in touch with them. We're desperate to find out as much information as we possibly can. The number for the Gardaí in Tallaght is 666 6000. 666 6000 is the number for the Gardaí in Tallaght if anybody has any information on that incident. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks.
98FM's Dublin Talks.
With Adrian Kennedy.
We're live every morning from 10. Only on